Welcome back, and it's time now for Campaign Chronicles, Frans van Kat's regular countdown to the presidential election. And for that, I'm joined by our French politics editor, Mark Perelman, and our Media Watch editor, James Creedon, is also going to be here with some sort of reaction from the media and also what's going on the blogs. But first of all, Mark, let's begin with you. And I understand some social protests are starting to take centre political stage.
Well, it's traditional here in France. If you have complaints about your jobs, your pay, the election campaign, the presidential election campaign, is the time to air them. And this is what's been going on. Candidates have been visiting factories promising to save jobs, increase pay, whatever. And so yesterday there was a mutiny in a jail in Western France, and one prison guard was assaulted by prisoners. And so prison guards today took out their anger and protested across France, saying they had not enough money, there were not enough guards, it was a dangerous situation, and no one wanted to see them. Some went even as far as to destroy their voting cards to show their despise for the politicians. And now they say they want to meet the candidates. Meeting the candidates and actually the president is what other disgruntled workers, those from PSA automobile factory near Paris, did. They literally barged into the campaign headquarters of Nicolas Sarkozy and they said, we want to talk to the president and the candidate. And guess what? They did talk to the president for 45 minutes. He managed to talk to them. He has a super busy schedule.
It wouldn't be a French presidential election without some melodrama, surely not, Mark.
Exactly. And the president, of course, promised that he would get back to them within a couple of days. The only thing is that they heard that song before. Back in October, he promised them exactly the same thing. And you will probably hear him and other French politicians berate the business world for not saving jobs and making the social situation easier. It's campaign time here in France.
It certainly is. And fresh polls are bringing some bad news to Nicolas Sarkozy, I understand.
Yes, two polls have come out this afternoon and tonight showing that Nicolas Sarkozy is behind his main rival, socialist François Hollande, in round one of the presidential election, which is on April 22nd. And this is very bad news because until recently, Nicolas Sarkozy was ahead, albeit slightly, of François Hollande in the first round. And this shows that now he's behind, and this is really bad news because Nicolas Sarkozy is gambling everything on coming out on top in the first round and hoping that there will be a dynamic that will help in the second round. In the second round, the figures are still very bad. They haven't moved. 55% for François Hollande, 45%. But clearly, this is worrying. François Hollande tonight at a rally in Clermont-Ferrand said, I don't give a damn about the polls. I won't draw consequences. You don't need to believe him. He's probably happy. And in the Sarkozy camps, the alarm bells must be ringing.
But doesn't it help him in terms of being the underdog? Isn't that going to give him a sort of boost as such?
Not as close to the poll. I mean, the voting is just 11 days away, and he had really hoped. When he went on ahead of François Hollande recently in the first round, all the Sarkozy camps say, okay, this is really when we're going to make our push. And the fact that he's apparently falling behind again is really alarming news for Nicolas Sarkozy.
Now, in the meantime, however, the French leader has received some encouragement from across the other side of the Atlantic.
Yes, today a very unusual sight, a video conference between Nicolas Sarkozy and Barack Obama. The cameras were allowed to roll for a couple of minutes, and the two of them are facing a re-election campaign. A tougher one, it seems, for Nicolas Sarkozy maybe than for Barack Obama. But here's what the president of the United States had to say and what the French president had to respond in English.
I know that you've got a busy
time.
I admire the tough battle you're waging.
We will win, Mr. Obama. You and me.
So clearly, Nicolas Sarkozy does speak English.
That's probably the first time I've ever heard him utter anything in English.
That's true. Although what he's doing is maybe a little bit borderline because he is the candidate, he's also the president. The fact that he's allowing cameras in is to show that he's handling world affairs while his rivals are merely campaigning, promising things right and left. And the socialists have already attacked him in the past for kind of mixing the president and the candidate, and that he's taking undue advantage of his position as president. But it was a rare sight of the Obama-Sarkozy interaction.
Now, among the three far-left candidates running in this election, One of them is surprisingly relaxed, despite enjoying 0.5% in the polls. Philippe Coutu from the MPA party has repeatedly said he can't wait for the campaign to finish. He was tonight speaking at a rally in Paris, and there with him was France 24's Clovis Casali.
Until a few months ago, very few people knew of Philippe Coutu, but with the campaign, the car worker turned presidential candidate has found himself in the media spotlight. Representing the anti-capitalist NPA party, Coutu has often said that he doesn't like all this attention. Actually, that he doesn't even enjoy running for the presidency. Shocking comments for some French, puzzled as to why they should vote for him.
At the beginning, when you run for president, you run to win. That's it. You never say you won't win. That's what I don't like about him.
He's got some good ideas, but actually carrying them out is another matter.
I've seen him around, but I don't think he's a very credible candidate. In the way he talks, he gives unconventional speeches. In one way, it's good because he's quite frank, but in another way, a French president wouldn't really talk like that.
Here in Paris, Philippe Coutu supporters are gearing up for one of the last major rallies before the election. Moments ago, I spoke to the far-left candidate who explained to me why he's so different from all the other presidential contenders.
I know I'm the only worker, the only one who works in a factory. I'm not a professional politician. In that respect, I'm not like all the other candidates. Besides, we all have our personalities. But what counts for us is that I'm a worker. Our message is everyone should do politics.
In the last two presidential elections, the NPA party heavyweight Olivier Besancenot obtained 4% each time. That's 8 times more what polls predict for Philippe Coutu. Besancenot is a much more popular figure, and his decision not to run this time could prove costly come April 22nd.
At this point, I want to bring in our Media Watch editor, James Creedon. James, I understand you have a video of President Nicolas Sarkozy summing up his opponents.
Right, well, I think he got a question that he quite liked this afternoon. Well, it was at least on the Parisien newspaper's website this afternoon. Sum up your rivals, and indeed yourself, in one word or in one phrase. So, I mean, it's the kind of thing, it's manna from heaven for a politician. They love these kind of moments. And so in any case, he starts off speaking about the Green Party candidate, Eva Joly, before going on to speak about François Hollande, his main rival, and then himself. Let's take a look.
Égaré. En politique.
François Hollande.
Peut mieux faire.
Nicolas Sarkozy.
Déterminé.
There you go.
I suppose do that in English. That's what I was.
Well, he's probably not going to get that far. Give him some time to progress. But in any case, I think it does illustrate the extent to which, as we were saying earlier, Mark, this has been a campaign about sound bites and images. I suppose all campaigns are, but in particular this time around.
Yes, absolutely. Many commentators are complaining that the campaign is only about snapshots, about getting at each other, rather than digging into the issues the French care about: purchasing power and employment, right. Housing, education. But on the other hand, when the candidates talk about it, it's rather boring. Right. So you usually have this mix of, taking sound bites and right. speaking deeply.
And perhaps one factor, which would explain why there has been an increase in the sound bite or in the, I suppose, condensed image in the past 5 years, is social media and the fact that it has quickened the pace of communications. Let's take a quick look online at 2 social media fails in the past 24 hours. Now, on the website of La France Forte, which is Nicolas Sarkozy's website, they decided to, try to do a little interactive thing, asking the public what the major issues for them were. Now, gay marriage came out on top, which wouldn't be, I suppose, the most prominent social or conservative issue. So that they promptly took that down off the website, which shows the difficulty they have in managing these tools. Very quickly, Nadine Morano, she's one of Sarkozy's cheerleaders, you could say, she retweeted a video today on her Twitter page. of supporting the Front National. Now, ostensibly, the video appeared to be against François Hollande. She clearly didn't look at it through to the end, because at the end of this video, as you can see here, there's a call to vote Front National. So obviously very embarrassing for her. And she's been putting up photos of herself as well, eating sandwiches and all that. So she's really not making a very good stab at using Twitter.
And I think she took off the video from her Twitter.
She deleted it
not
rapidly.
Not surprising. As I said earlier, a big oops.
Yes.
Thank you to both of you, Mark Perelman and James Creedon. And that's it for us for Campaign Chronicles.